scene.
A mere 10 corners over 2.5 miles, lap times close to a minute, and elevation changes that will make your eyes water. Canada sure knows how to make racetracks. And hopefully, our drivers are up to the task as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. You'll see it all live here on iRacing and the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Joey, you throw the Lotus 79 on this track, and I think we got a recipe for fun.
Absolutely, and talk about a complete flip of the script from round 1 over there at Okayama. We are now at this incredibly fast Canadian circuit. Can't wait to see what the competitors do today.
Well, since the Canadian GP has since been moved to Montreal, some of our fans might not know this place as well, so let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac. But any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide. As you can see, this place will put the drivers through a lot, Joey, over the course of these short laps.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an odd cheeseburger. Circular shape is what Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is out here, and located in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. A 2.45-mile, 10-turn road course that has a ton of elevation throughout it, and it is also incredibly fast. Call it the first half of this racetrack, turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are very, very fast sweeping corners. Right, left, and then up to turn number 5, that little bit of a hairpin. That's Moss Corner. You better be able to get the car slowed down there, especially with that big dip in elevation. And of course, it leads you out onto that Mario Andretti straightaway, the longest straight that we've got here at Mosport, but you don't see a big brake zone at the end of it all. It's actually pretty flowing going into turn number 8. Watch those last 2 corners, turn 9 and turn 10, especially on those last couple laps. Some aggressive moves can happen down in that section.
It's definitely going to be tough to try and get by somebody, and we'll be talking about that a lot. But first, let's talk about the championship. The F1 championship in this series finds itself with Pauli Partanen in a familiar spot up at the front. But Gernot Friesche challenged him all race long last time. This is going to be an interesting one to see whether or not he can maybe bring the fight to Partanen for the first time in a long time, maybe giving himself a shot at the championship. But that is just the F1 standings. Let's take a look at the F2 standings, Joey.
Yeah, right now it is Connor Levy leading the way by about 5 points right now over Alec Klessig. You see Keith Herner, Andrew Dixon, Alberto Lobo all inside the top 5. But folks, we got to remember, only one race has happened so far in this 12-round championship. Lots of shuffling of the order is about to happen.
Absolutely. And one of the things they do that's unique to this series as well is they have the Classic Teams Championship. So you can go on to the Discord that they hold for this and join up on a team or get assigned to a team. And right now, Candy Team Tyrrell is our quickest. Lotus sitting in second appropriately for this series, with McLaren in third. And then Ensign, Unipart Racing Team Ensign, sitting in the fourth position. From there, things get a little bit closer between the remaining teams. But as we heard Joey say, it's probably going to be shuffling around as we've only had the lone round. But let's talk about round 2, Joey.
Yeah, we are all here gathered at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for 32 laps on round number 2 of this season. The drivers are actually in a qualifying session right now, so they're going to be putting those lap times down. But like I said, 32 laps is what everybody is going to be doing. It is an open setup. Remember, you heard Joe talk about joining the Discord. Well, they also hand out the fast setup, so don't be scared that it's an open setup. They will share the good stuff with you. No spare car, so if you pick up any damage, you got to live with it. And then talking about the incident points, 17 incident points brings you down pit lane for a drive-through. And then if you make it to 25, unfortunately, it's a disqualification.
I have a feeling that drivers that get a number of incident points are going to have a pretty damaged car at a track like this. There's not many places with paved runoff to save you, especially over at Clayton Corner. Now, while we do still have just a bit of time in the qualifying session, I do not see anybody out on track right now. And it's definitely an interesting mix-up at the top. JB Masita on the provisional pole, and Togo Hisada is back here at round 2 on the front row with him. This is going to be fun without Partanen up there.
Joe, I got to chuckle to myself because we had to make sure we got through our entire pre-race, make sure we cover all the graphics, everything is all good, and then we get to this qualifying session, and they're all like, hey, we're all done over here. But you're right, yeah, Togo Hisada is back up front. I think that the big kind of, oh my goodness, out there is JB Masida on the front, right? The number 6 board on our pole position with a 105.55, just narrowly beating out Togo Hisada by 3/100ths of a second. I'm also looking between 3rd and 4th. The gap between Tim Reed and Farron Grau, 2/1000ths of a second.
Oof, this is going to be fun up at the front, especially with it being so difficult to overtake here. But yeah, in terms of everybody finishing that qualifying, I did say it's barely over 60 seconds, a minute 5 for our quickest drivers here today. So they obviously can rip through that qualifying session quite quickly. In the meantime, it looks like that is officially over. So our grid is set. Let's go through our starting order for today's event. And as we've been saying, Masida has managed to put himself onto that top spot for this one, with Togo Hisada starting next to him. Timothy Reed will be starting P3. You've got Farron Grau in 4th position, with Julius Mueller in P5. Steve Bycroft will start in 6th today. Shady Ahmad in the 7th position. Then it's James Berry in 8th. Row 5 has Seamus Power in 9th, and Barry West with an excellent 10th.
Yeah, the big cat starting inside the top 10. In 11th, we've got Jean-Francois Boscus in that number 16 machine. Next to him is going to be Ryan Turcotte starting in 12th. Austin Farr in 13th. Hans Sommer next to him in 14th. Aaron Blair starting 15th. Connor Levy 16th. Miguel Moreland 17th. Mikola Jusjak in 18th. Daniel Gallus 19th. And Taylor Lane rounding out your top 20.
Ian Haycock starts 21st today with Isabel Matthews in 22nd. You've got Keith Herner 23rd and Jose Montilla in at 24th. After that, Jana Lehman starts 25th today, Ellis Spice 26th and Kurt Clapper 27th. Jose Conde P28 for him, Ricardo Ruiz 29th and Philip Fernandez 30th. Last three, only Matthew Cockerham managed to set a time in 31st. It's Jason Clapper and Xavier Garcia starting 32nd and 33rd. And with it being such a short track, the field is actually going around White's corner there at the end of the lap for this standing start. So that should be fascinating, as it looks like we've got the engines revving and the green flag is out. My goodness, Masada goes absolutely nowhere. Togo Hisada already around the outside into turn one. Timothy Reed nearly gets by and takes him for second place. Behind him, are we going to get through that first corner? Look at how many 2 and 3 wide we've got, and now it's into the fearsome Clayton corner, Joey.
It is plunging down the hill. I see one car off into the grass. Now I see another one heavy into that tire wall back there. So yeah, a little bit further in the back, some incidents, but out front, it is Togo Hisada. He managed to limit that wheel spin on that initial launch, got the whole shot, and now he's got clean air.
Looks like Farr and Yushak might be two of the drivers that had an off there. Not sure about any of the others. Watching Bosca sitting here in ninth, you can see how clumped up it is, and it's going to be difficult to get away from one another down this long Mario Andretti straight, where the slipstream will start to keep drivers together and maybe give you a shot at a move. Looks like Shady Ahmad managing to get by Mueller, and Boscas is unable to get by James Berry.
Yeah, I think that was actually James getting by Boscas there on the back straightaway. James had a head of steam down that long Mario Andretti straight and was able to use that top speed, gain a position there. So James actually shuffled down from one where he initially started, just trying to gain some of that lost positioning back as we ride with Mueller here in the number 11 car, plunging down through turn number 2.
Shady Ahmad having taken that P6 just on this past lap. He wants to get it back, but it's going to be difficult to follow closely. You can see how quick these corners are, and I feel like that is going to be a talking point all day long, Joey. How do you get close enough to strike?
You're right. I feel like Mosport traditionally a lower downforce setup, so that way you've got the incredible top speed, because this place, it doesn't really slow down other than Moss Corner, that section that we just went through. However, you also want the confidence through these long sweeping corners. Joe, to your point, I think that car control is going to be key, and the more comfortable you are with the car moving around underneath you, aka Togo Hisada Drift Champion, you're going to be fast.
Yeah, that's a good point. With the way he likes to take that wing out of the car, he should be able to do well. In fact, he is doing well. He's already 0.8 ahead, setting the fastest lap of the race last time by. Meanwhile, watching Timothy Reed sitting here in third, still hassling Masada. And here is our incident in the first lap. And there is Jusak just having a little bit of contact. Unfortunately, wheel to wheel, takes off one of them, and he is quickly out of this race.
Yeah, just anytime you have that wheel-to-wheel contact when we're talking about the Formula cars, it usually doesn't end too well. So this battle that we're watching, that's Barry West in the white and blue car, Aaron Blair here in this red number 22, just trying to get in the slipstream, and consider Hans Sommer that third car in the battle as well. So all we're trying to do right here is gain on that car in front, sit there in that tow, trying to get up alongside. It's actually going to be moving left is Aaron Blair. Can he make the momentum pass around the outside? The big cat hanging tough, but Aaron makes the power move.
Always fascinates me about this track, Joey, that it doesn't matter if it's inside or outside. You can see moves made through that last S's section, and a perfect example from Blair.
It's nice because it's not just right-hander, 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 right? It goes right, left, right, and it does have some speed variation throughout it. So yeah, to your point, you can make some aggressive moves, and then remember, it's one corner after the other. If one person makes a mistake and gets on the back foot, that's an opportunity as well.
It really is. As we're back to Timothy Reed once again, he's fallen back. Farron Grau seems to have snuck by while we weren't looking. So that's P3 for the number 12 car. Definitely a bit of shuffling up at the front, but definitely not for that top spot since the start of the race. Here's Connor Levy. Whoa, what happened there?
Not sure, but the 25 was Connor Levy, and I think that was off of the back straightaway. I had mentioned when we were looking at the track map, it's not a big break zone, so if you feel like you got to send it into turn number 8, this corner right here, probably not a good idea.
I wonder if he maybe clipped the curb or something. The
Yes.
car snapped so fast and off into the wall. Both of them went. Not much you can do. Already 3 DNFs in this race in the first 5 laps. Boskus is still dealing with Julius Mueller in behind him. So he's trying to continue to get that position right back from him as they plunge down the hill and back into Quebec, swinging through this long right-hander, needing to get the run off the turn. Aaron Blair behind them looked like he was way wide and maybe lost a little ground.
If you remember, Aaron was that car that had just made the pass on Barry West, so he's trying to keep the momentum going forward. But yeah, oh, there he goes wide again. Aaron Blair off of the racetrack in Moss Corner. You saw it through the rear wing of the car we were riding on board with. So unfortunately, all those passes that this number 22 car did, they kind of all came unraveled.
Such an old school circuit in a number of ways. That's another spot where it just goes off into gravel and grass. Oh, but we'll talk about that in a second. Jason Clapper doing his traditional things, up from 31st now to P17 with that move around the outside of Keith Herner. So nice move from him. But this is one of the few tracks, honestly, in the world since it was built that has not changed its layout whatsoever. Austin Farr, in the meantime, side by side battling for 25th position. Jana Lehman has to give up the ghost on that one and slots in behind.
So the number 4 car sitting a little bit out of order in terms of that iRating. I expect Austin maybe to be a little bit further up the field, but all the way back here in 25th spot. You see Yanni Lehman not giving up whatsoever on this battle. He's in that white and green machine, just trying to find a little bit of clean air, trying to find a little bit of visibility for the driver to try to find a way around. He's close enough, definitely, to make a move here into Moss Corner. You see him go a little bit out wide, but opts to follow in the tire track. So this number 4, now Austin gets out too wide. Going to hand the position right back to Yanni.
That's 2 laps in a row. We've seen cars just...
Red cars, too.
Yeah, scoot a little bit beyond. So maybe you don't want a red car going into Moss Corner, as Farron Grau has been re-overtaken. They swapped again now. Timothy Reed has gotten back past into 3rd. So interesting dynamic that we've got between them, but they do seem to be losing touch with Masada in front of them.
100%. So our top 2 runners are running, call it 106.7s, and Timothy Reed 106.99, so maybe about a quarter of a second slower. And that was while making the pass on this number 12 car that we're watching of Farron Grau. So that battle definitely brought in this yellow number 2 car, and actually Shady Ahmad, Seamus Power, James Barry, they're all kind of lined up right behind Steve Bycroft right now. So it's not just Steve that's catching Farron Grau, it's a whole bunch of competitors.
Steve is another one that's been in this series for a long time, although we don't see him as often these days. Kind of just, I think, crops up when it's a track he likes. So expect when we go to the Nürburgring that he'll probably show up because he's a known specialist over there. Meanwhile, he sits in 5th position, trying to see if he can add to his tally of 7 wins, but he's got a few cars to overtake first.
See how fast this Canadian circuit is as we ride on board here with this number 2, and just barely little bits of lift, if anything, going up over turn number 2. This one's a little bit bumpier through turn number 3, and you see how long the corner still is. Really got to drive your way through it. Now, Joe, you said that this place has been unchanged since it's opened, and yeah, technically it is unchanged. However, it does have a new repave that we don't have here in the sim, and that actually changed the face of it a little bit.
That's true. Yeah, it's definitely been paved back over, at least once or twice. But as far as the layout goes, no chicanes added, no corners changed. It's pretty much exactly as it was built back in the, I think it was early 60s when this place opened up. But let's take a look at Aaron Blair once again. This time it's Hans Sommer just in front of him. He's got a good run, but he doesn't have enough straightaway down Mario Andretti to try and get side by side. So he has to wait patiently once again. And ahead of them, that is Barry West, the big cat, who's still in 11th. So again, this is an excellent race for the number 23.
think that Aaron Blair definitely has some good speed underneath him today. Maybe a poor qualifying effort. He started back in 15th, and remember, he got his way inside the top 10 rather quickly and then had that mistake down there at Moss Corner, gave it all back, and now he's reeled back in this group that he initially had passed once already. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this red number 22 get around these couple cars in front of him here in the next few laps. I definitely feel that he's got the performance advantage.
Took a big look on the inside of Moss Corner. Despite it being a hairpin, it's not often that you see successful passes into that corner. It's usually exiting that drivers try to set themselves up. It almost looks like they're maybe gaining a little bit on Barry West, and they've got well, it looks like about 0.3 of a second to run him down. So what's going to happen through these S's? Again, bit of a different line between Summer and Blair as they try to get the clean air on the car, and he tries to get his nose underneath. Blair has to back out. Summer able to hold on to 12th, rather.
Credit, though, to Aaron Blair. That's 2 laps in a row where he's had the inside line, the drive through turn number 10, and now he's going to make an aggressive look down the inside of turn 2. They're going to be off into the grass. Aaron Blair somehow manages to barely hang on. Taylor Lane is now going to be catching him. Aaron's on the wrong side of the track in the marbles again. Huge fishtail save. Somehow still pointed straight, Joe.
That fell apart in a hurry. I'm amazed that he is pointed straight. But yeah, he survived 2 very scary moments. But this has now meant that Moreland, Clapper, Matthews are all right on top of him. And Clapper, we know, is not going to waste time. He's already looking for a move here on Moreland.
And back to my long-winded point as we watch these two go side by side, I just wanted to give credit to Aaron Blair. It's not easy to have those inside lines, those inside runs. Is Clapper going to make the power move around the outside? So Jason up into 15th in that Marlboro machine, but Aaron didn't get his elbows out, right? He had several cars going around him. He had the opportunity to push other cars out into the grass, but he was respectful the entire time.
I think he knew it was a pretty late move on his part, so it wasn't going to go well if he tried to force the issue. Meanwhile, Isabel Matthews seeing if Moreland can be demoted yet one more. Matthews in the red, white, and blue machine, the black and blue for Matthews. And coming up and around Quebec, she washes out a little bit wide in the dirty air of Miguel's.
The further you get back in these trains, the more and more the dirty the air gets back there. So the cleaner the air, the more front grip that you've got on these machines, and that's exactly what helps turn them around these long, long corners. You need the front grip, especially here at Mosport, as Steve still just on the back of Farron Grau. If there's any difference, it's actually that Farron has now lost touch with Timothy Reed, our third place runner. You see him just up the road cresting into turn number 2, but that's a good 1.7 second gap now.
Yeah, interesting, since we did see that the qualifying was pretty close between them, but it seems like race pace maybe slightly better for Reed, able to run away at this stage. But Bycroft has been stuck back here for some time. Not sure if that's going to play a part in it, or if he can manage to find something to sneak by. You can see the sparks coming off of these cars. Always a part that kind of worries me about this track, how close they have to run them to it, yet this isn't really a billiard table smooth place.
No, this scan and this pavement that we've got here with Mosport is a very rough racetrack. It's very fast. It is a lower grip racetrack, so you definitely got to be able to charge your way around this place, not have to worry about throwing it off anywhere. You just kind of got to be a driver every once in a while.
It's a good way of putting it. And Bycroft is driving up to the back of Grau now. He's got it down to 0.3 of a second, while Hosada continues to stretch his lead. Although I say that, it is at 1.6. So it hasn't really been... in fact, has it gotten closer?
Well, I think it's kind of been about the same. Okay. While I look at the top 5, I think the outlier is actually Tim Reed, right? He was stuck in this battle that we've been talking about, but he has actually been one of the fastest cars on track. Now, this past lap, about even with Togo Hosada, but the previous lap, he was a good 0.3 faster than our leader. So I think that if we're going to watch something towards the front later in this race, it might be that battle for second place.
Bycroft now inching forward on Farron Grau. In fact, the slipstream is allowing him to close the gap rapidly at this stage. He is going to try and look around the outside. We've seen this move work once before. Can it work for him again? No, he starts to lose the grip, and he pulls back.
Nice attempt, just didn't have that grip along the, what I call a Darlington line, right? Ride that high line up around the outside as we get this replay. Oh no, what happened to Aaron Blair? Remember, he's had a lot of extracurricular activities. Oh, just misjudged the inside of the racetrack. And was that Jason Clapper in the number 9? So unfortunate for our biggest mover as well.
And it was practically a carbon copy of what we had seen earlier. So 2 more cars taken out. So I guess someone needs to let the drivers know, stay away from that inside curb on the entry into turn 8, because it could be a doozy. Now, while this has been happening between Bycroft and Grau, Ahmad behind them has started to get closer and closer. So this could be an issue for the pair of them.
I like when the races kind of accordion out a little bit and then compress back up towards the end of the race. And I think we're getting it actually a little bit early, because we are approaching halfway here in this round number 2 of the season. So it kind of allows us to kind of catch our breath and figure out what the performance levels are of each of these drivers and each of these cars. And then once they kind of compress back up, finally get to watch those battles actually take place.
And, you know, one of the things that I feel like often affects that is the fact that these cars do change kind of their feel so much between the start and the finish. We often will hear drivers talk about if they set it up for early in the race or late in the race. What causes that dramatic change, Joey?
There's a few factors, definitely weight, right? Weight is one of them. And when it comes to formula cars, there is no extra weight on these things. So when you pack it full of fuel, it is going to be as slow as it's going to get, because it is as heavy as it gets. As you burn that fuel load off through the race, the car gets lighter and lighter and lighter. That means it gets faster and faster and faster. It goes faster in the brake zones because it decelerates quicker. It goes faster through the apexes because you got less rolling weight to really carry around. It goes faster down the straightaways because it's a lighter machine. The other thing, Joe, is the tire wear. If you abuse the tires early on, they're not going to be there for you as much towards the end of the race. If you take care of them early on, they'll be there for you more when others have abused theirs.
Which begs the question, with Steve being stuck in the wake of Farron Grau for much of this race now, is he's starting to feel a little bit of wear on those tires, making it difficult. Hans Sommer off track on the main straight, and then he gets hit from behind from a car. Looks like having a bit of a connection issue and reappearing out of nowhere, and that sends him off course once again. So that was a miserable start to that lap for Hans Sommer. So we check back in with Kurt Clapper, and Kurt is going to get overtaken, it looks like, as he finds himself maybe demoted. He's going to try and hang tough as best he can around the outside. That makes for the inside of Clayton, but no, the job is done.
And that was Yanni Lehman getting around Kurt Clapper here in this Miller Lite machine. He's going to continue on as looks like side by side between Farron and Steve Bycroft here off of the back straightaway. And the more they do that, it just brings in that third car, Shady Ahmad, that dark blue number 18. And in fact, I think it's a wannabe Big Cat back there as well.
Yeah, it does kind of look similar.
Oh, it's not quite. It's a Repsol. It's a Repsol livery. Okay. It looks similar. Yes.
We did hear it was a classic livery that Barry got for that. So that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw at least one more driver using that. Although I feel like we've accidentally given him claim to it now. Was Isabel Matthews still working on Moreland? Hasn't really changed a whole lot here. She's still about 0.5 of a second back from that number 28. So the Spanish driver continuing to be a little bit of frustration for the British driver. And as they come around out of turn 3, we check back behind them. Ellis Spice on Matt Cockrum. And Cockrum, another one that has come from the back of the field, starting from 31st now to 15th.
And that third car line is not for position, so it is just purely Ellis focusing on the back of this black number 31 here. And See, Matt got a pretty good exit out of that Moss corner. It's so important to be able to roll on that throttle, prevent any wheel spin, and really drive the car forward. That prevents anybody from using that slipstream too much and crawling up that rear wing on these straightaways. Here you see him kind of compress back up Ellis through the corners a little bit faster than Matt Cockrum. So I wonder if that's where this battle is starting to develop, is maybe Matt's car starting to fall off a little bit more, maybe not as confident through some of these corners.
That's always that downside of trying to put less wing in it. You're requiring more on that mechanical grip, and maybe by the end of the race, it'll start to fade away as Cockrum uses that extra cornering speed to keep himself out of Hand's reach. Meanwhile, Steve Bycroft, we've seen him try this one before, but it is once again the same ending to that same story. So he falls back in line behind Grau, but Ahmad now down to 0.3 of a second behind them, and continuing to appreciate the two of them going side by side.
And if some of my buddies are listening right now, they'll appreciate this. If you're Steve Bycroft, you got to do something different. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over off of the back straightaway. We've seen him go how many times around the outside, and it just hasn't worked. And at this point, Joe, I feel like he's going around the outside just simply because it's open and available out there, not because he wants to.
And that's a good point. I'm curious to see what he could do a little bit differently. That was Ricardo Ruiz just in front of him, a lapped car, who thankfully gets himself out of the way, maybe accidentally, for a brief moment, and is not a part of this battle anymore. Grau coming up that Mario Andretti straight. We'll see the yellow machine getting bigger and bigger in his mirrors. But again, he goes to that outside. This time, though, he's going to be pretty far alongside, and that might help him out. He pinches him down to the apex. That gives him the inside into the left-hander, but now White's corner, and he once again is unable to get the job done. So that was slightly different, but still didn't quite do it for him.
You're right. It was progress, advancement, at least on the move. But you saw when you're going up against a driver as skilled as Grau is here, he's not just going to lift out of the throttle and let Steve have the position. He knows how much grip is around that, call it 9-10 section of the racetrack. And even if Steve is on his left side, he can hang out in the middle of the racetrack. So, yes, progress from Bycroft, but I still feel like you got to throw a different pitch. If you keep throwing the same thing, Farron Grau is going to have the same answer for you.
Well, if we can mix sports a little bit, then we can armchair quarterback this thing. How would you try it? Where would you try and send one up?
It's tough, right? You have to go around the outside here just because you've got the opportunity. You've got the run. He's actually half a car with the head. Farron Grau's going to fight back in the middle of the corner. And once again, just right smack in the middle through 9 is going to park it here through 10. Let's see if Steve can kind of get an over-under. He does have a run, but just doesn't have a lunge opportunity into turn number 1. So to answer your question, Joe, even if it's not a move next to him, go get up underneath his rear wing on the back straightaway going up into turn number 8. Even if it's not a passing opportunity, just do something different so that way Farron Grau's eyes aren't looking in the same spot. Almost contact there as Bycroft runs out of racetrack on the outside. Shady Ahmad going to try to capitalize. He's on driver's right going into Moss corner.
He still can't quite get it. It's so blind into this turn. Both apexes, they manage not to make contact, but he has to back out. They got a slow car in front of them. Xavier Garcia, okay, his lapped car that's letting them through. But now Bycroft is on the back foot instead. He's playing defense. Shady has a good run, and he's going to try to do exactly what Steve has been trying to do all race long to his rival. They almost bang wheels coming through the corner, just enough space given between them. But it looks like Steve has learned his lesson and pulls the same defense down through 9 and 10.
Yeah, but look at this run from Shady Ahmad. Just put the power down and brings James Berry with them. So unfortunately for that yellow number 2, he's gone from 5th all the way back to 7th on that short chute front straightaway.
Hasn't quite mastered it like Farron has, it seems. And that allows Seamus Power to catch them as well as we check back in with Jana Lehman. Up 8 positions from the start of this race and trying to make it 9. Jose Conde is going to deny him on that. Excuse me, up 5 positions from the start of this race. It is Conde that has been up 5 on this one. Just behind them, they still have Kurt Clapper trying to make sure that they don't run away too fast up there, battling for this 19th position. Back to Bycroft in the meantime, and trying to see if he can recover from that mistake. James Berry, though, is close behind Shady Ahmad into turn 8, but they'll stay in order.
It was rather amusing to kind of watch this 4-car fight develop as we get a good shot of onboard Barry West. You see him kind of checking the mirrors because he has got company in the form of Taylor Lane directly behind him. I always love getting these shots from the big cat. He's wearing the virtual reality, so you get to see him move his head, look towards those apexes. He's also using that H pattern shifter, so you see that right hand come off of the steering wheel and actually manually engage those gears. Pretty cool that a lot of these vintage drivers go for the realism factor.
Yeah, it's a point of pride for a number of them, without a doubt. That was way off the apex, though, for Barry West. Taylor's going to try and go around the outside of a different corner down through Quebec, but that corner opens up greatly on the exit, so that didn't quite work for him. We'll have to try again later, but West is definitely kind of on a rear guard.
He for sure is, and I think, unfortunately, it's going to kind of be like that. I know that this fight, Joe, for what is, call it 5th place, definitely starting to heat up ever since that Steve Bycroft kind of fell down through the order, and Shady Hamad has kind of picked up the lead of this clean air. It has just bunched up James Berry in that number 5 car. The yellow number 2 hasn't gone anywhere. Steve is still in it, and then also Seamus Powers, that 4th car in line. So what was a 2-car fight has now developed into a fantastic 4-car battle.
Unfortunately, things kind of have gone south for Steve in the second half of the race. He was looking to try to battle for a 4th position. Now he's just trying to stay into the top 5 if he can maybe fight his way back a little bit, as long as he doesn't get demoted by Seamus Power. Although he goes very wide off into the gravel, that's going to put him again on defense coming down the Mario Andretti straight. Seamus has a good run. Will this be enough to get him around the outside of 8?
And crucially, Steve has a little bit of slipstream helping pull him along. It's about 9/10, but he's losing ground, so that means Seamus has got the head of steam. He's going to try to go around the outside in some clean air. He's going to get the front axle to the rear axle. Bycroft is now stuck on the outside. He's going to be pinched down to the inside of turn number 10, but this time can put the power down.
It's a drag race to turn 1, but advantage goes to Bycroft. He's got the inside. Still, look at this from Seamus Power. They're going to carry it on down into turn 2 at Clayton Corner, and that's the point at which Seamus Power finally takes the position. It was a valiant effort from Bycroft, but he could not withstand the number 8.
I mean, that pass started in turn number 8 and finally ended in turn number 2. That was some good racing between these two drivers. You got to love to see it. And you got to wonder what's happened to this yellow number 2 car, because he was right on the back of Farron Grau. Remember, he was trying to make that pass, and one little mistake later kind of unraveled into multiple mistakes, and now he finds himself back here in 8th.
Yeah, we can see that Barry and Ahmad also are still close, as Power is going to have to try and play defense himself again, seeming to not like that outside line. Steve Bycroft can't carry the speed coming through turn 8 and falls back behind him once again. So Power retains P7 ahead of them, and keeping half an eye on Barry and Ahmad, see if that will start to erupt as we come back to Hisada dealing with lap traffic.
Yeah, and what was a 2-second gap because of the lap traffic is now down under 1 second. In fact, our top 3 has under 1 second per gap for each car. Only about 3/4 of a second separating JB Masada from Togo, and Timothy Reed has done such a terrific job. Remember, he was kind of caught in that battle for what was 4th and 5th place earlier. He has now eliminated that gap, and he is in contention to potentially steal away 2nd. And with how close they are to Togo Hisada and all this lap traffic, who knows what can happen in the next 6 laps.
And crucially, I just checked, it shows that Masada has not had a race win yet. This could be an important one for him, whereas Togo's already got a couple to his name. Timothy Reed back here just kind of watching, hoping maybe they'll start to battle with one another, while Masuda now takes the fastest lap of the race. I'd say he's pushing.
Yeah, definitely got to be pushing it, especially if he wants to go challenge Togo Hisada. And fun little battle back here. 16th, 17th, 18th. I think this is Cockrum, Spice, and Montilla back here in the number 30 car. And it's actually Jose going to be making the move on the outside. Just doesn't have the top speed, though, to actually get the pass completely done. Joe, I see over in YouTube chat, we actually have some viewers that were questioning virtual reality. Do you use triple screens? Do you use a single screen? What setup do you use over in iRacing?
I have a single screen because I don't have screens that are the same size, so it kind of screws with being able to do the 3-screen thing. I've tried virtual reality, and it's fantastic, but I don't have the money for a headset. So I have heard, and from my short experiences with it, it seems like virtual reality can be a real game changer, and trying to watch your Apex is somebody there off track in that battle. Well, meanwhile, James Berry, again, on Shady Ahmad, unable to get the job done, but making him think twice and have to watch his mirrors.
James starting to ramp up that aggression level, trying to get himself inside the top 5 before this race is all over and done with it. And this was the battle that, speaking of the VR, Barry West, that's who was using that virtual reality headset, still is holding off Taylor Lane. So he's doing a terrific job kind of being that immovable rock right now, impossible to pass.
So a battle of British drivers, if you will. And he goes wide once again. We've seen that before from Barry West, but just like last time, Taylor Lane can't really capitalize on it. Just making sure Barry, he gets himself just in position to make it impossible to complete that move. Yeah, it always amuses me that talk about VR from the rest of the gaming community, kind of saying, it was a failed gimmick, and us in the sim community kind of look at it and go, what are you talking about, a failed gimmick?
You're right. I think that virtual reality has kind of fallen on some hard times in general gaming. But I think if we just real briefly chat about it, virtual reality is great for immersion. Now, I've been in a lot of race cars in my time, fortunately, and looks like a little problem with the number 32 car here. Just a big snap oversteer into the wall. That was a big hit there. But the immersion level, when you put on the virtual reality headset, it's just like putting on a racing helmet and you're transported inside of the race car. You look down towards your shifter. You look out the right side towards the mirror. You look out the left side towards the mirror. So if you're looking for that immersion level, like you're actually sitting in a race car and feeling it spin around, unfortunately, Taylor Lane just got that feeling coming out of what is turn 3.
Oh, and that's a fast exit. I don't think that Taylor managed to avoid the barrier on that one. What about Power versus Bycroft? And this time Bycroft manages to stay side by side, but he seems to struggle with the penultimate turn. This time he manages to hold on at least a little bit longer, and Power will demote him once more. Bit by bit, Bycroft's been trying to chip away at that move.
Yeah, and I do feel like I might have been a little bit hard on Steve kind of in the middle of the race. Things don't always go your way, especially as the laps wind down. But one thing that Steve has proven and has shown us is that he just hasn't rolled over, right? He just hasn't started doing slower laps. He wants to be in the fight. He's trying to take it back to Seamus Power, and that's really all that you can ask for.
That doesn't surprise me. Bycroft has seemed like a fighter whenever we've watched him race. Meanwhile, Masuda down to 0.5 of a second now. And there's a little bit of a wiggle from Togo coming into turn 8 there, and we're coming down to 2 laps to go. This is kind of now or never for the 6 car.
I thought we were going to go into an Animal House chant there for a little bit. Toga, Toga. But yeah, it's Togo Hisada leading out front here, only 0.5 second. So to your point, Joe, JB Masuda has closed it in, and look out front now. We don't have any lap cars on the horizon, so it is purely going to be down to that performance. And I'm seeing what you saw as well. Togo Hisada hanging the tail end of the car out.
And the Japanese driver keep the mistakes away for just 1.5 more laps. And can Timothy Reed do anything about the pair of them, as Masuda now is down to about 0.4 of a second, just behind him, climbing up the hill. Does look like Togo does have that car trimmed out because he was pulling away for a second until the slipstream started to bring JB back into the equation. That's going to be a massive help on this last lap.
I think that Togo has learned from some of the best. As it's side by side, is James Berry finally going to get this pass done? It's Shady Ahmad that is on driver's right side. James is taking the long way around, and he finds himself finally up inside of the top 5.
Almost anticlimactic there for James Berry as he just swung across as soon as he was ahead.
Oh my goodness, Joe. Togo Hisada just barely hung on to the car on the exit of turn number 2. He had the right rear in the dirt. Sorry to interrupt you. He is pushing hard to keep in front of Masuda.
Both of us can't seem to talk today. It seems like Togo Hisada is going to have to keep his composure, though, because now it comes onto the back straight. The car slides a little bit, and Masuda is actually as close as we've ever seen in this race. This has got to be it. He is going to have to make an aggressive move if he wants this win. Otherwise, there's no way Togo is going to allow him through. He closes in. Togo leaves the door open on the inside. Is that really what he wants to do? Yes, it is. It's a mistake from JB. He goes off course. He might lose second place to Timothy Reed here right at the end. He does, while Togo Hisada is able to run away with the win in round 2.
That was a racecraft savvy move from Togo Hisada. How many cars have we seen jump that apex curb and wreck themselves out? He said, okay, you want to try it? Go for it. I'm going to keep the momentum, and wound up with a checkered flag.
Took the air off of him, too. I think that made a huge difference and cost him a second place for JB. So, yeah, incredible stuff. We keep talking about Togo being a very clever driver, and that just shows it. Meanwhile, Ellis Spice down in 17th. We're going to see about 20 cars finish all 32 laps today, but I don't think Ellis Spice is going to be able to make one more position on this 30-second circuit.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tough ask given where he's at on the racetrack. He's really going to have to send it up the inside of 10, but just nowhere close enough. You don't want to do that, especially on the last lap to somebody that you've been racing for the previous 32 laps. So Cochran going to finish in 16th and Ellis behind him in 17th.
And it was close for Bycroft in the end, as he was 0.2 of a second behind Seamus Power as they crossed the line. Just couldn't seem to seal the deal. But it was Togo Hisada who sealed a win here today in Canada in great form, despite the pressure, despite the close pace between himself and JB. Reed comes home P2 as Masuda makes a mistake on the final couple corners. Grau with an excellent 4th place, although he was not close to those top 3. Still did a great job to get himself up there. Meanwhile, James Berry finishes with the top 5 ahead of Shady Ahmad finishing 6th. You've got Seamus Power in 7th today, Steve Bycroft falling backwards to 8th. Unfortunately, Jean-Francois Boscus in 9th. James Mueller also going backwards, winding up with 10th.
Then in 11th is the big cat, Barry West. It looks like he was able to hang on to that position after all. Isabel Matthews, a nice run right there to finish in 12th. That is plus 10 on the day after starting back in 22nd. So nice drive for that number 17. Miguel Moreland in 13th with Keith Herner in 14th. Then comes Taylor Lane back here in 15th. Our biggest mover is the number 31, Matt Cockrum, up 15 positions to finish in 16th spot. Ellis Spice back here in 17th. Jose Montilla in 18th. Yanni Lehman 19th, and Kirk Clapper rounding out your top 20.
21st is the first of our lap down cars with Jose Conde. And then we've got Ian Haycock's 22nd, 3 laps down. He must have gotten involved in some trouble. Daniel Gallus did finish the race 4 laps down in 23rd. Garcia was a DNF, and I believe pretty much everybody from here on down to 33rd did not see the checkered flag from what I can tell. So an attrition-filled race towards the back of the field, no doubt, with a lot of drivers discovering just how difficult Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is.
It's a very, very fast racetrack that is incredibly unforgiving. I think we saw that out of several competitors, especially off of that Mario Andretti straightaway, kind of taking the the short distance route, and unfortunately ended in tears for some people out there on the racetrack. And Joe, I see as we're waiting for some of these interviews and our podium finishers, lots of VR chat out there in YouTube land. I'm previously a VR guy, especially in iRacing. I use triples now. One of the things that I think is great about virtual reality, like I said, the immersion factor. So if you're just trying to quote unquote pretend to be a racing driver, whatever car that is, it's nice to be able to use that. If you're looking to do professional esports, right, with the lowest latency, you want the highest frame rates, triple monitors are always a solid suggestion. But if I'm going to be a realist over here, really all you need is one big ultra wide. I think an ultra wide covers about 95% of the situations that you see here in sim racing. But it's fun to have all the different options. Ultra wide, triples, virtual reality, just depends on how much you want to feel like you're in a race car.
That's a good point. So yeah, it's different strokes for different folks. So it's whatever needs you have out there. It doesn't look like we've got anybody coming to chat with us, unfortunately. Don't blame Togo if he has to head off to bed, because it is late at night over in Japan right now. So I think we're going to close this one up. So big thank you, of course, goes to the community itself for bringing us back for another season of coverage out here. But also I want to give a big thank you to the team, Joey, Christian, Dougie, and of course, Daniel Costello was helping behind the scenes as well. We can't forget about him. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store as well. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC, and to the iRacing YouTube channel. Don't forget that we've got more races coming up in the season, because we're heading off to Imola for the next round. That'll be Sunday, July 5th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And of course, we've got other races on the Global Sim Racing Channel, including the Porsche Owners Club going to the Red Bull Ring tomorrow night. Joey, I'm really glad that they chose this track for round 2, because like I said, this car and track combo just, I mean, it puts on thrills.
100%. And I mean, talk about a totally different venue from what we saw in race number 1. Remember, we were at Okayama, pretty much consider it an autocross course. And then you come out here to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, where it is just hauling the mail through every single corner, maybe except one, Moss Corner down there. So I can't wait to see what the rest of the season brings. It's always a challenging schedule, and it's always a challenging group of drivers at the front.
We can't tout the awesomeness of the Lotus 79s enough. We aren't going to quite take off yet, because it sounds like Togo has actually showed up. So let's have a little bit of a chat here with today's winner and see his thoughts about that late race maneuver, see if it really was him thinking ahead to try and hold back our challenger. Togo, congratulations on the win. We felt it was very clever that you left the inside open on that final lap, and it seemed to disrupt JB. Was that intentional? Did you leave that open thinking you'd be stronger coming in wide on that corner?
I have a confidence with the outside lane at that corner. So, and of course the 79 is pretty stiffer suspension, so that if you hit the curve inside, you immediately jump. So yeah, I just I did a risk management.
So you were thinking about what we saw multiple other drivers do, which was clip that inside curb. So that was very, very smart on your part. Were you surprised that JB got so close towards the end, or did you kind of expect you would struggle to keep him at bay?
No, I have no idea. I have no idea. I just first 20 laps or so, I did very comfortable with the car. Pace is great, and just pace management, looking the relative or mirrors, and did the pace management. And then the last 10 laps, suddenly JB is like a rocket ship. It just I need to watch the replay of his cockpit and figure out what he did. Yep.
Yeah, I think the dirty air definitely cost him in the end of it. So maybe the extra speed wasn't quite what he needed in the end. But congratulations on the victory, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you a bit more before the season's out.
And I think I have to do the speaking Finnish word.
Oh goodness!
Maybe.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so let's go. Pauli, millä on ikävä sinua nyt? Jos olisit kilpailut tänään, se olisi varmasti ollut helvetinmoinen taikelu. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That was great.
I love this exchange of cultures that we're getting.
It's
That was
great. I
Togo
love it.
Hisada, our winner. So big thanks to Togo for coming in there. Joey, man, they're putting us to shame. I can speak a bit of Chicago. What can you do?
I lost my khakis. Is that Boston for you?
There we go. You can make a visit to the iRacing headquarters then.
Yeah.
All right, we're actually going to close it out for real then today. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts on both iRacing and the Global SimRacing Channel. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.